Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. History unfolds in Rome. That's what it would feel like if all of these fights were taking place. You'd almost feel like history would be unfolding in Rome because the fights would be so compelling, so competitive, and boxing fans would be very, very happy. But let's talk about a few things. First, let me get back on this Jaron Ennis thing. He's a star inside the ring. He proved that this past weekend, but obviously still growing outside the ring. What I don't understand is how come he's just getting so much criticism. Xander Zayas is getting so much criticism. I don't understand it as far as the beings and how they perform inside the ring. Both of those guys, excellent fighters. One just found a way to win. The other one, he found a way to lose. Okay? It happens. That's what happens when two people get in the ring. The cream's going to rise to the top, and the other person is just not so lucky. But one of the biggest attractions in sports right now, when it comes to boxing anyway, is Jaron Ennis and what the future holds for him. But one topic that keeps coming up isn't his ability inside the ring, it's his ability in front of the microphone. Now, I've constantly, joked about Jaron Ennis always saying, for real, for real, for real, for real. But that's just me and my little wacky sense of humor. I talk about how talented he is, how he'll whip your ass, how he shows that, he passes the eye test. The standing units fight, to me, he passed the test, but that wasn't a real test. The Luis Lima fight was a test, but it wasn't a real test. Xander Zayas, to me, was a real test. And both showed us all what he can do. But this thing about speaking, about communication, I'm going to say this, and I'm not the only one. And the reason why I'm talking about it because other people are commenting on it. They believe that his profile is going to continue to grow, but it can only go so far if he doesn't get polished up in interviews and public appearances because he has to be able to communicate more effectively if he wants to connect with a broader audience. Now, I did watch the interview with Andre Ward and Roy Jones Jr., and I was thinking to myself, man, Jaron seems to be struggling with expressing himself. But that's what happens when you speak with a lot of slang, and that becomes your everyday language. I'm not saying he can't get better. He can. But the thing is, the fans were going off and talking about it. And I was like, holy shit, they're noticing the same thing I noticed. But they were really ridiculous about it. Sometimes the criticism can be very harsh. But what I will say is, it's an easy fix for Jaron. You know what I'm saying? He just has to make an effort to replace a lot of and we all use slang. All of us do. But if he can start changing out some of those words, and you'll see an improvement in his communication, man. People want to watch him fight, but they gotta want to listen to you as well. And for anyone, and for those haters who are saying Jaron Ennis will never reach his full potential, he's at his ceiling because he's a horrible, he's horrible in front of the microphone. How about this? I think about Miguel Cotto, and you say, what does that have to do with anything? This man didn't speak with a bunch of slang. The man's, I'll say this, all these fighters come into boxing, a lot of them speak a different language, right? And then what did Miguel Cotto do? He went from not speaking English to speaking broken English to speaking very clear, very well. You understand? But it took time. It was a process. All I'm saying is when you have individuals where English is not their first language, or even if, you're in another country, like when I was in Germany, I didn't know any German, but I was there for several months. And while there, I did make an effort to learn how to speak some German. And by the time I left, I wasn't having conversational German, but I knew enough to get around and ask for certain things. But what I'm saying is, you can get better. And if someone where English isn't their first language can learn it and become very good at it, it's just like Canelo. You listen to Canelo speak English now, night and day. So if these people can come out here and learn another language and speak very, very well, why can't someone who already speaks English can improve on how they speak? That's all I'm saying. But at the end of the day, if Jaron Ennis really wants to connect with a broader audience, the number one thing he should do and what he does well is just whip ass. You know what I'm saying? Simple. But for real, that's like me saying, hold your horses, don't take it to the stupid. Or joking about fried rice and chicken wings and shit like that. Or saying, I don't be on the internet like that. I think that's part of Jaron Ennis, man. Like, he needs to keep that. He may want to try to trademark that shit. Because it's funny as hell, because he always says it. But to those fans, yeah, ease up on him. But I do agree. He's a star inside the ring. And at the level that he's at now, he's got to think about growing outside of the ring and expanding his profile. And in being an effective communicator is probably the first step to really helping that profile explode. Now, these talks about Jaron Ennis and Fundora, it has to wait. It's not going to happen. A lot of fans want Ennis and Fundora to fight. It looked like they were in negotiations, but that's not what's happening. That's not what's happening. Fundora is going a different direction. He has a mandatory he's in negotiations with. So it is what it is. As far as what Jaron Ennis is going to do, could be Josh Kelly. But the bottom line is, boxing schedules don't always align. If both fighters have separate commitments or different timelines, I mean, negotiations can become more complicated. And that's what seems to be the issue here. Doesn't necessarily mean the fight won't happen. It just means both sides need timing to make it work. So maybe 2027, we'll see Jaron Ennis and Fundora fight if they keep winning. Now, I will say this. Ennis does want to be back in the ring by the end of the year. So you figure if Fundora fights next couple months, Ennis fights at the end of the year, 2027, Ennis, Fundora, and a unification. And somebody will be running around here with 3 belts. And that would be outstanding. Unless Ennis fights Josh Kelly later this year and beats him, then Ennis will have 3 belts, and then he fights Fundora for Fundora's title, and then now it is for undisputed. But we just got to wait and see. But what I will tell you is there are a lot of conversations about Ennis being pound for pound. And if he really is that guy, then he should go on and fight Fundora. And then if he clips Fundora, you got to really think about making Jaron Ennis, man. This may sound crazy. You may have to start thinking about putting him up as number 1 pound for pound. Because I am telling you, professional boxers will tell you, active and retired, Sebastian Fundora is a hard pill to swallow. They will all tell you that Fundora is a nightmare matchup for anybody because of his dimensions, 80+ inch reach, 6 foot, 6'7" at 154 pounds. That's crazy. But back to Ennis and being pound for pound. Well, I mean, those talks intensified after he fought Zayas. And critics point out that Ennis was hit cleanly. But I'm going to argue elite pound for pound fighters, they get hit. But yes, they should minimize those moments, but they get hit. But that's Ennis' style, man. He intentionally brings fighters close to him, or he gets close to fighters within range where he's vulnerable to getting hit. But that's part of his strategy to create offense. You just take calculated risks to land damaging shots. You know what I'm saying? That ain't nothing new. It's a lot of fighters do it. Even Floyd would do it. He would get close. You throw something, he'd do a pull counter. You know what I mean? Floyd would get close, man, make you miss, slip a shot, throw a punch. I mean, it's a lot of fighters. You sit there and watch them, man. They know that thing is inside fighting. Canelo's another one. There's so many. But what I'm saying is, you do that to create opportunities, and that's what Jaron Ennis did. He just happened to get caught with some shit. But that's, again, it's a calculated risk that they take. So just because he got hit to say he's not pound for pound, I don't agree with that. Because if that's the case, take Naoya Inoue off the list. Doesn't he get hit? Doesn't he get dropped? Because he's another one that takes calculated risk to land his own offense. So people need to stop with this bullshit. But I will tell you this. The debate reflects a broader question. Should pound-for-pound rankings reward defensive perfection or the ability to win difficult fights in exciting fashion? It's so subjective. Everyone has an opinion. But I'm just saying people should hold their horses and stop taking it to the stupid. The man gets hit, so he shouldn't be pound for pound. This is boxing. What they supposed to be doing in there? Kissing each other, tickling each other? Get the hell out of here, man. Now, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. Australia has a strong moment right now. Those who follow the channel know I'm always talking about Jai Opetaia, the Osmo and the this. I talk about Tim Tszyu. I talk about all them fighters, Liam Paro, Nikita Tszyu. We talked about Andrew Moloney, Cherneka Johnson. But let me tell you something. Although those names have helped keep Australia in the global boxing conversation, Kaye Scott has the biggest opportunity out of all of them when she gets ready to fight on August 15th, Claressa Shields. Talk about becoming one of the most significant women boxing events involving an Australian fighter, and talking about just how impactful this would be for Australian boxing. If Kaye Scott could get in there and put the bing bings on the goat. Claressa would probably say, man, please, bullshit. Okay, Claressa, we hear you. You have sparred with her. You know what she can and can't do. And most of us believe that you're going to beat Kaye Scott. I'm just saying. Jai Opetaia, Liam Paro, Tim Tszyu, Nikita Tszyu, Moloney, Cherneka Johnson, Kaye Scott. They've been doing what they have to do to keep Australia in the global boxing conversation, and Kaye Scott is up next. And boy, talk about having the opportunity to hit a grand slam against, the self-proclaimed greatest woman of all time. And I really feel if Kaye Scott gets this done, this may be probably the biggest upset. I'm going to go ahead and say it. In the history of boxing, because people like to separate men and women's boxing, man, forget that bullshit. In the history of boxing, because you don't, at age 42, with 7 fights, 5 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, you just don't get in the ring with someone like Claressa and beat her. That's not what's supposed to happen. But anyway, let's sit back and wait and see what happens. I will be live for the fight. I talk so much about Claressa. I mean, it'll be foul for me not to do a live and be fair with the live coverage of her fight. But I mean, hey, I will be live and we're going to see what happens. But I'll just leave it as that. Now, Anthony Joshua, he's returning to the ring, man. And he is focused on his upcoming challenge. And he remains confident as far as his future heavyweight matchups. But I'm going to tell you this. He said that he wants to hurt him. You know what I'm saying? He wants to hurt his opponent. And he says he knows that he's going to defeat Tyson Fury. How about this? Fans continue debating where AJ fits among the division's elite. But I'm going to tell you this. He is elite. Why are y'all still out here trying to figure out where he fits? AJ's elite. Wilder, look, he's got the name. He's not elite anymore, but he fits. Tyson Fury, they all fit. I'll put it to you that way. But I will say this. He has to have the activity and strong performances to remain in that elite conversation. And the best way to answer those questions by getting in the ring and doing the business. But there are fans who are still watching Anthony Joshua and wondering, how's his mental health with everything he went through early this year with the horrific car accident. I'm going to tell you this. I don't think he would move forward with boxing if he wasn't if he wasn't 100% ready. Remember, there's a difference between 100% mentally healthy. No, 100% ready. That means that he's ready to get in the ring. And then I think he wants to see where his mental health is after that. So he's reached a point to, okay, I'm committed to training and getting in the ring. But as far as what comes next, it's Tyson Fury. But he may never, ever be 100% mentally healthy. Shit, I don't know how many of us are. Even Hood Champion got a little Sesame Street in his ass. Now, that being said, talking about Sesame Street. The name Guido. Now, you know I don't like to make fun of people's names, but goddamn. In Italy, boy, they got some names, don't they? What was that one guy's name, man? I was laughing my ass off. Even Paulie Malignaggi, who's Italian, was laughing his ass off. What was his name, man? Giuseppe. The dude's name was Giuseppe. I'm laughing my ass off. And that's an inside joke. You wouldn't get it. Something growing up in the household. It was a nickname for one of my brothers. And Giuseppe was part of the nicknames. Funny as hell. But my dad used to read a lot of books. So there was a name of some character from some book he read. Probably a Louis L'Amour book. But the shit, he used to have us laughing. So anyway, Guido Vianello joins Queensberry. Now, I'm telling you right now, if y'all don't know who Guido Vianello is, y'all better look him up. Guido Vianello will whip these heavyweights' asses, you know? But now that he's signed with Queensberry Promotion, that's generated a lot of optimism because he's a guy who should be fighting more. He can really scrap, man. He's mean as hell. He's big. I think he's southpaw. A dude can fight. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of supporters believe that partnership now with Guido and Queensberry, it's not made. It will lead to higher profile heavyweight opportunities. And then he has a very large Italian fan base, man, that gives him a strong national following behind him. And hey, once you have a fan base, you can sell tickets. Shit, you're an instant success. And he can fight. So I just want to throw that at you. But be paying attention to Guido Vianello, man. He can really fight. Now, two guys who can really fight, but a fight that shouldn't be happening is the rematch between Wardley and Dubois. Look, Wardley and Dubois too, I know what we're going to get. The ultimate mashup crashup. But to that I say, in the most respectful way, whoever's behind making this rematch needs to hold their horses and stop taking it to the stupid. You're going to have Fabio Wardley and Dubois continue to divide fans. Some feel Wardley deserves another opportunity. Others feel he deserves an opportunity, but he doesn't deserve to get destroyed like he did by Daniel Dubois. Others feel Dubois' victory was decisive enough to where they'd rather see him and Wardley go different directions, and they feel Dubois is such a dirty fighter and a strong fighter that he destroys Wardley. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like this. Wardley took so much damage, man. He's a solid dude. He went out on his shield. He didn't go down. He was in there. He was getting hurt. He was getting bludgeoned. But he hung in there, man. But I just don't want to see him get hurt. And that's what I think is going to happen. I think he's going to get badly hurt. But them early rounds, he always has a chance because he's fast and powerful, and the ball's there to be hit. But boy, oh boy, if he doesn't get the ball out of there down the stretch, Wardley going to be in trouble. And that's just how I see it. Now, Tyson Fury, he and AJ are going to fight, but Tyson Fury's going to be fighting in Thailand against Marius Wach. But one thing that's cool about Tyson Fury, although there's a lot of things people disagree with, the man does have some good in him, okay? But he's going to be donating his whole purse from that bout to a charity. And I think it's really cool that some charity is going to benefit, man. But someone else said that that's all bullshit. I don't think so. I think Tyson Fury's going to do that. How much money is he making? I don't know. He's taking a stay busy fighting in Thailand. I don't know all the particulars. They may be paying that motherfucking bananas. But the bottom line is, if he whatever he gets, whether it's bananas or millions of dollars, he's going to donate it to charity. And at the end of the day, you got to respect an altruistic act like that. Claressa Shields. One of the biggest conversations in women's boxing centers on Claressa Shields and her opposition right now, especially future opposition, knowing she's fighting Kaye Scott. Many believe she'll get past Kaye Scott. Then they're like, okay, what does she do next? How about this? A lot of fans are floating the idea of Claressa Shields fighting Amanda Serrano or Claressa Shields fighting Alicia Baumgartner. They're like, look, we know the difference in weight, size, divisions. We get it. We know more than likely it won't happen, but we can, like they say, speak it, believe it, receive it. And then I'm out here like, yeah, you can speak it, believe it, and take it to the stupid, which you shouldn't do. But at the end of the day, just to have a fun conversation, what would happen if they were able to figure out a catch weight? You know what I'm saying? Serrano's down there in the 120s. Alicia Baumgartner's down there in the 130s. Maybe Serrano comes up 147. Maybe Alicia really come up to 147. Big Book come down to 147. I don't think Claressa coming to 154. And for those ladies that come up to 154, I still think Claressa will have the advantage because unless it's a rehydration clause on Claressa. But the bottom line is, if they could figure out a catch weight, and I do think Claressa can get down to 147. I do. She doesn't want to. And I understand. She wants to be comfortable. She wants to feel healthy. Look, I get it. But I'm just telling you, and this is just me being real, you know, I don't think Claressa getting down that low, I don't think she wants to do it. But if she was, who wins between her and Serrano, her and Baumgartner? You know what I'm saying? You see, those are probably the most intriguing matchups in boxing because we're talking about three of the biggest names. Care what y'all say about Claressa Shields. Claressa is a big name. But the beef really seems to be Claressa and Serrano, Claressa and Baumgartner. For obvious reasons with Baumgartner. You know what I'm saying? She slapped her. They don't like each other. They talk trash. But as far as any other woman in boxing, I mean, you know, Layla's never going to fight her. Shadesha's sorting things out. Hannah Gabriels is ready right now. She's at Claressa's weight. But Claressa obviously doesn't want to fight her. But I mean, if that happened, if those fights were to get made, who wins? And I'm telling you, I think Amanda Serrano would give Claressa Shields a tough time. I do. Do I think she wins? I'm telling you, I don't know about all that. I'm just telling you, I think it would give Claressa a tough time. And Amanda Serrano has a good chance to win that fight. Because Claressa ain't going to just come in and overwhelm her and have Serrano in there scared to let her hands go. Or have Serrano in there against the ropes covering up. Serrano's going to be trying to figure it out. And the thing is, Claressa doesn't hit that hard. And if she comes down in weight, she's not going to have, I think, a tenth of the power that she managed to muster at heavyweight. Now, for those who are saying, bullshit hood, Claressa's going to be stronger, she's going to bully those women. I'm just telling you, I don't know how many of y'all used to lift a lot of weights or box. I've done both. But I remember when I used to be in the gym, benching 385. Well, as a matter of fact, it was like 350. Then I got up to 385 later. But around this time, I was in the gym hard. At this time, I was only doing about 350 max, weighing 205. And I would cut down to 160 for a boxing match. And while cutting out carbs and running and, you know, cutting weight, there's no way in the world I was able to get on 350 pounds and press that shit. You understand? Not even 315 when I was cutting that weight. So it does something to your power. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you that when you start cutting out carbs and all that shit. But when we'd have the fight or whatever, then I would still be in the boxing, but I stopped back eating, getting in the gym, lifting weights. It's amazing how when you start to feel your body again, how the power comes back. So I'm just telling you, Claressa with the weight cut, she probably won't be as strong. She's even spoken about that. So I give Serrano a good chance to get in there, especially if they have a rehydration clause. Because now Claressa could be in there and develop dead leg, and she may be disadvantaged because Serrano may be coming up in weight. She may have the clear advantage because she got a full gas tank. Now, as far as Alicia Baumgartner, it could be the same thing, man. I was sitting here, matter of fact, while I'm talking to you, let me pull this up while I'm talking to you. Alicia Baumgartner, I think, is well, I'll just show you. Because we were talking the other day, and I was like, nah, this ain't. I thought Alicia Baumgartner was like 5'3" or something. Shit. Alicia, watch. Alicia Baumgartner is 5'6", okay? Now let me look at this. So she's 5'6". Hold on. Amanda Serrano. Amanda Serrano is pulling it up right now. Amanda Serrano is 5'5", so 5'6", is she about the same height as what's her name, Alicia Baumgartner. Okay, now when I do this right here, Claressa Shields. Okay, now look at this. So you got both of them about 5'6", and Claressa Shields is 5'9". So a difference in height, about 3 inches. But Claressa, she doesn't have long arms. So the fight could be interesting. But I'll just tell you this right here. You know, I don't know what the future holds for Claressa and what she's doing, but I think that's them fighting, Claressa fighting either Serrano or fighting Baumgartner. I think that's as intriguing as having a cross-division event. But some people are going to argue like, look, man, the size difference makes those matchups impractical, and that fighters are generally best, I would say best served, competing near the natural weight classes. And I don't disagree with that. But again, we're talking about a dream fight, catch weight, and something that Claressa may really need because she has no one else to fight. You know what I'm saying? I mean, again, I talked about Hannah, but the real fights are down there at the lower weight classes. Layla Ali talked about Claressa cutting weight, getting a dietitian, a nutritionist, staying down there, man, where she could be at the lighter weights and make the big matchups. And to be honest with you, I think she should. Devin Haney was cutting down to 135. He looked like a ghoul. You ever see Devin Haney with his weight cuts? When he was getting down to 135, he looked sick, like he was going to fall over. Then he would make the weight, then he'd rehydrate up and just basically, they said he was weight bullying these guys. But he made the sacrifice. Was it healthy? I mean, I don't know. But I mean, the way he looked scary. It looked scary. I don't see. That's one thing. I put a lot of respect on Devin Haney's name. Because that weight cut, man, I ain't gonna lie, I used to worry about that guy. But I'm not saying Claressa needs to go to that extreme. But what I'm saying is, if you really want to be great and you really want to face the best, then maybe you make a management decision like what Devin made and his team made for him to come on down. Because Devin was fighting at 140. But they chose to come down to another weight class just so he can go and do what he did, become undisputed. So everything they planned out, it worked out. Anyway, Alicia Baumgartner, Amanda Serrano. The fight would be interesting if they actually got in the ring with Claressa Shields. Will it happen? Shit, probably not. Serrano's about to be up in the way and retire. Alicia, she got Caroline Dubois problems, and Caroline Dubois is about to return to the ring. So what happens, I don't know. But I'll tell you what, man, I would for sure be tuned in. So it's not just about one fighter. When I like to do these roll-ups, it's not. It's about all of them. But you know what it's also about? It's about how boxing continues to grow across multiple countries, with rising stars, established champions, new ones surfacing, and then the debates shaping the sport's future. But I'll tell you this, whether it's Ennis chasing greatness, Australia's continued success, the heavyweight movement in Europe, or discussion about the biggest possible fights in women's boxing, I just think what's coming up is going to have plenty of fans happy and watching boxing with a smile on their face. But y'all cut Jaron Ennis some slack. Be fair to that man. Y'all keep cool him in the breeze.